This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. There's nothing sweeter than baking cookies during the holidays. With Prime, I get all my ingredients delivered right to my door, fast and free, no last-minute store trips needed. And of course, I blast my favorite holiday playlist on Amazon Music. It's the ultimate soundtrack for creating unforgettable memories. From streaming to shopping, it's on Prime. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to get more out of whatever you're into.
This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at AWS.com/learn more.
Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast. You know, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, or maybe you just want to outsmart me on something I said, give us a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but still some football season left. Basketball season is in prime time right now. It's in full effect. So go ahead, save $20 off your next ticket purchase using that promo code, The Run Podcast. Now, anyway, look, man, we had a very, very interesting Sunday for the NFL. Week 15 is here. There were some games I predicted. I was wrong about actually most of them, which is just kind of crazy. But one of the games where I was kind of right, I was close to being right, but I was still wrong, which really doesn't count. But the Buffalo Bills played the Detroit Lions, which was an incredible game to watch here. This was two elite teams battling it out. And I said from the jump, this was a test for both teams to see how legitimate, I guess in quotations, legitimate these teams actually are. But the Lions, they fell short to the Buffalo Bills, 48-42. And it was crazy, man. This was a beautiful game of football from head to toe here. And in my prediction, I initially said the Detroit Lions would win this game just based on them being able to capitalize on certain aspects from the Bills. The Bills, they struggled defensively last week or 2 weeks ago against the Rams. They allowed the Rams to put up 44 or 42 points, something like that. And I just thought that was too much for a Rams offense. Yeah, they're streaky and all, but initially this is why I was saying the Lions are going to win this game. But it turns out I was wrong. And I have no shame in being wrong because they lost to what I can say now. Lions losing to the Buffalo Bills. They lost to the best team in the NFL. I can honestly say that, and that's what I witnessed. They lost to the best team in football right now. They lost to the MVP and Josh Allen, and he showed exactly why he's going to be the MVP. I have no shame in admitting it. And, you know, there's a couple different things you could take away from looking at this Bills team and how great they were and how polished they were against the Detroit Lions. And the first thing you got to make a case for is Josh Allen. I don't even think it needs to be a debate on if Josh Allen is the MVP anymore. I think the discussion needs to be, is Josh Allen the best quarterback in the NFL right now? And this includes Patrick Mahomes. This includes Lamar Jackson. This includes any other quarterback you can think of in the league right now. Because the way this man played in week 15 against the Lions and the way he's been playing in a consecutive basis week after week has just been incredible. It's incredible. I mean, I know the league is hyping him up, so I don't mean to get on here and pump up the case of Josh Allen being MVP. He has enough of that. But the things I saw against this Lions game, and I thought they had Josh Allen at times, it was remarkable to watch. I mean, he played a flawless game. Like seeing these throws that he made across the body, drifting out to the left, but throwing right. It was just crazy. Extending the play, his ability to extend the play is, man, it's immaculate. This dude has been on another level. It's wild. He threw for 2 touchdowns, over 350 passing yards, 0 turnovers, and a QBR of 122. And I believe the QBR is on a scale of 150. So this dude, man, it was crazy. He led the Bills offense just downfield every time. Lions had no answer. They had Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator, in hell. Oh my gosh. Boy, I just know he was going through it mentally, trying to figure out how the hell he could slow down Josh Allen. And I'll get to the Lions in a sec too, because I'm going to talk about them. But right now, I got to give praise to the Buffalo Bills for taking care of business. That offense, they looked unstoppable. And I know the Lions have a lot of injuries right now, but the Bills, man, they literally did not punt the ball the entire game. And they got a lot of creative. They really doubled down and got creative on the offensive end too, in situations where you had to capitalize. So I loved what I seen from the Buffalo Bills on 3rd and 4th downs, especially from an offensive sense. But it was a great game of football on both sides. And ultimately, this game came down to the Detroit Lions not being able to stop the Buffalo Bills. It was just that simple. Lions were solid. They ended up picking it up on the offensive end. And they tried all game to make sure they stayed in striking range, which they did. They just couldn't stop the offense. That was the biggest part here for the Detroit Lions. And they weren't even trailing at a point where it's like the game is over. And there was times where it seemed like the Bills just kind of wrapped up the game, but the Lions were there. If you were watching the game, you seen the Lions stayed in striking distance. They were right there. They were up close to the Bills. And anything that went wrong for the Buffalo Bills, it could have easily turned to the Lions' advantage, and the Lions could have won this game. So there was some things. They started slow on offense, which kind of hurt them because they were playing from behind right away. The defense, man, they got rolled through. They got rolled over, and I know a lot of people, when I mention the defense, is going to bring up all the injuries. And yes, I know the Lions have a shit ton of injuries, but at the end of the day, it's not an excuse. And I'll get to the injuries, but before the injuries, another key component for this game here, outside of injuries, was the coaching. People wanted to mention the coaching on Dan Campbell. We know Dan Campbell is an aggressive coach. This dude, he goes for it on 4th down damn near every time. He kicked the onside kick with 12 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Ridiculous. In my opinion, it's ridiculous. There's been people out there that said, oh, well, Dan Campbell kicking this onside kick in the 4th quarter with 12 minutes left is not a bad thing. And I understand that perspective because the defense was getting rolled on the entire game. You want to have the Bills get a field goal. It's still going to be a 2-possession game, whether they score, kick, a field goal. Either way, it's still a 2-possession game just because of how much they were down. And then you want to limit the amount of time the Bills can waste by kicking it short and giving them less field position to run the ball or run the clock out, whatever the case is. I get it. I get all of that stuff. And that's nice. But at the end of the day, bro, you cannot do that. I'm on the side of kicking the onside kick when you have 12 minutes left in the 4th and you're down 10 points. It's stupidity. Stupidity. And I say this because, yeah, I know your offense was getting rolled through, so you want to give them less time. But ultimately, if you go out there and play defense, it's always going to be harder for a team to score from the opponent's 20-yard line compared to your own 20-yard line. If they have to go 80 yards to score versus 10 yards to score, it's going to be a completely different situation. And for the Lions, look, you were bad on defense. We know. But anything could have happened where it worked out for your advantage. A simple mistake from the Buffalo Bills could have still set you up where you were down 10 and you didn't give them a gimme type of touchdown because you wanted to do an onside kick. So that's my only thing there. That's my stance on the onside kick. And injuries is people just continue to go down with the Lions, man. They continue to go down. This isn't anything where, it's like they played bad because of injury. Like, no. They were already injured coming into this game. And I think if anything, it says a lot about the Lions coaching staff to even keep the game competitive and close when you're out there with 4th and 5th string guys playing against the Buffalo Bills starters. That says a lot about what they can do. And there's not a single team in the NFL that's built to be great when they're playing with 4th and 5th stringers on the field. There's not one team who can still make something happen because the Lions got more people on IR than anybody in the NFL right now, and they're still kicking butt week after week after week without guys who are supposed to be starters, without 2nd string guys, without 3rd string guys. So this is impressive to me, but the chances of going to the Super Bowl and actually winning, they're getting more and more slim because now you got the health crisis going on. You just lost David Montgomery. You lost another defensive end. You lost another cornerback in Carlton Davis. Like, people are just dropping like flies with the Lions. They were built like a juggernaut when they were healthy, but they become beatable to a subpar team so far. So it's rough, man. And now it's really time for them to just weigh on the outscoring their opponents because the defense is shot, man. No linebackers. You just lost a corner, defensive line, another defensive lineman done went down. So it's rough. It's rough for those guys. But anyway, look, man, here, we got Dan Campbell here. He was asked about injuries at the end of the game after the loss with the Bills. So here's Dan Campbell. The audio is from Fox 2 News.
We've lost players, we've lost really good players, but nobody cares. I mean, nobody cares, and nobody's going to give us a pass or put an asterisk next to your record. So what it means is some guys are going to have an unbelievable opportunity. Because of what has happened, that means now, and you're a guy who's on the vet squad, or you're a young player, or you're somebody that's been dying to get an opportunity, you're about to get it. And so that's a pretty cool thing. That's a pretty inspiring thing. What are you going to do with it? And it's up to us to give them a plan to where they can succeed. And I've said it before, we play with 3 units here. And we'll do what we have to do to win a game. And that's all that matters. That's all that matters from here on out, is that you just need to have one more point than the opponent, period.
All right, so news for the run. Let's get it started with some college football here. So in the college football world, obviously, as you know, the playoffs are going on in college football. Some smaller schools have been playing, but we're not going to brush up on the smaller schools. Just know the big matches start up this week on the 19th, and we'll discuss more of that later on down the show. But anyway, there's also some news because former NFL Hall of Famer Michael Vick is looking to get involved in college football again. So per multiple reports, Michael Vick is interviewed for a head coaching job at Norfolk State. So this statement here was from the Virginian Pilot and said, Vick said Norfolk State officials reached out to him and that he's intrigued by the potential opportunity of giving back to the Hampton Roads community that helped him along the way. So I think it would be dope to see him in the college football atmosphere coaching. As we see, we got prime time right now coaching in Colorado. Big Bill Belichick from the New England Patriots now coaching at University of North Carolina. And then bringing Michael Vick to Norfolk State, that would just be incredible to see some of these legends in the coaching and players field begin to coach up in the college football world. I think that's super dope. So I'm excited for that. Anyway, look, man, the NBA Cup bracket, it's finally coming to an end. So the NBA Cup championship is set here. And for our finalists, we have the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. And this matchup will take place in Las Vegas on December 17th. So, man, it's a duel now. Winner gets $500,000 per player, and you get the championship. You get the little banner. It's a midseason trophy. So, I mean, it's something dope that the NBA has implemented, and this gives us some good basketball to watch and something competitive to watch that people are actually competing for. So I think this is dope. Just in case you wanted to know who the teams beat to get there. So I think I left off with the Bucks playing the Hawks. They ended up obviously beating the Hawks. The Thunder, they played the Rockets, and Thunder obviously ended up beating the Rockets, which is why you get the Milwaukee Bucks versus Oklahoma City Thunder. All right, now look, there's more here in the topic of news. So we got some NFL scores. The scores, man, for the NFL Week 15, crazy matchup for Sunday. And there was some bad games, some exciting games. Just to kind of give you a quick breakdown of the score. The Rams, they beat the 49ers on Thursday Night Football. This was actually one of the more boring games that I witnessed on Thursday Night Football. Man, nobody was scoring. It was rainy. It was just punt after punt after punt. It was boring. Chiefs, anyway, they beat the Browns. Bengals, they beat the Titans. Commanders, they beat the Saints by 1 point in a close matchup there. Ravens, they smacked up the Giants. Cowboys, they got a win over the Panthers. And what's crazy about this Cowboys win is the Cowboys were underdogs against a 3-11 Panthers team. Panthers were 3-10, now they're 3-11, but they were underdogs to the Panthers. Probably the worst team in the NFL, which is crazy. The Jets, they won against the Jaguars in a game-winning drive with Aaron Rodgers. Texans, they beat the Dolphins. I think they're just one win away from securing that division for sure. Broncos, they beat down on the Colts. Bills, they obviously beat the Lions. The Steelers, they fell short to the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Hurts let it go. Threw for almost 300 yards. He balled out 2 touchdowns. Man, they did their thing. The Eagles, they showed another side of themselves of being one of the best teams in the NFC. Can't say the best yet because the Lions are still up there even though they hurt. Anyway, the Cardinals beat the Patriots. The Buccaneers, they beat the Chargers. And then you had the Green Bay Packers in prime time. They defeated the Seattle Seahawks. And for tonight on Monday Night Football, you got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Las Vegas Raiders and the Chicago Bears versus the Minnesota Vikings. And the Minnesota Vikings, man, this is going to be a crazy matchup. And I'm not really going for anybody because I just want to see a good football game here. My team isn't in the NFC North, so I really don't care. But just to kind of give you a little background on it, the Bears, they're still trying to break a 7-game losing streak. Meanwhile, the Vikings, they want to extend their 6-game win streak and possibly take the number 1 seed from the Detroit Lions or the Philadelphia Eagles, who are in the hunt for that first seed as well. So Vikings trying to, continue their streak of just being solid. They got to play the Lions one more time in the last week of football on their schedule. So we'll see what happens there, but I think the Vikings going to go ahead and take it, man. Bears, they've been getting more yards, but I just don't think they're ready to close out football games. But who knows? This is a divisional matchup. Anything can happen. Who knows? You never know. And anyway, man, look, so you got the Falcons versus the Las Vegas Raiders as well, and this is a matchup I'm excited to see here. So the Falcons, man, they beat the Raiders 5 times in the last 5 matchups. Doesn't mean much because they don't see each other extremely often. And I think they've only seen each other like a total of 13 times. But in the last 5, the Atlanta Falcons have won. So here's where we are with the Falcons, man, because this team has been struggling. So right now, they got a 6-7 record. Hopefully tonight, at the end of the night, they got a 7-7 record by the time you hear this. But, I'm trying to still predict some situations where the Falcons can clinch the division and possibly get in the playoffs securely. Right now, the Buccaneers, they got the best record in the NFC South. They're 8-6. And in order for the Falcons to win the division, they have to tie the Buccaneers because we beat the Buccaneers twice. So this will give them an advantage in the playoffs of actually making the playoffs compared to just getting in the wild card and that's it. So that's the first thing. They got to tie the Buccaneers. They have to win tonight. This is a must-win situation. And after that, I know it's wishful thinking, but let's say once the Falcons are 7-7, they have the easiest schedule in football. The Atlanta Falcons by far have the easiest schedule. Without a doubt. They play the Commanders, the Panthers, the Giants. Come on, man. There's no reason the Falcons shouldn't finish this season 10-7 and hope for a Tampa Bay Buccaneers loss so they can get in the playoffs. Not saying 10-7 is good. I still think that's awful compared on the trajectory we were at early on, first 6 weeks of the league. 10-7 is not where I ever expected the Falcons to be. But I'm going to just say, man, we have to bank on a Buccaneers loss because this would move them to a possible 10-7 situation if they only lost one more game, and that's just what the Falcons need if they continue to take care of business. But only one win. We just take it one win at a time. Just please don't throw away the game like they've been doing. As long as the Falcons don't throw away games like they've been doing in the past 4 or 5 weeks, then they should be all right, man, because I'm going to say they're going to beat the Raiders. They took that dub. Let's just go ahead and say that. They took that dub against the Raiders, and it just has to happen, bro. We just got to finish game strong. That's all I'm going to say right there. If they don't beat the Raiders, I don't even want them to get close to seeing the playoffs. I want them to tank. I want Penix to start. If they don't beat the Raiders, I just want to end the season ASAP. I'll probably be done wearing Falcons gear. It's going to be bad, bro. Raiders are sick. They're dead last in total yards in the AFC. They only won 2 games. They don't have Max Crosby this game. If the Falcons, man, nah, we ain't even going down that road of if. Let's just take care of business. That's all I'm going to say. Take care of business. Let's beat the Raiders, and let's go ahead and get in the playoffs. Buccaneers, they're going to lose one of these games in their schedule. They got an easy schedule too, but I'm convinced, man. They can Buccaneers, one of these teams got to beat the Buccaneers. Whether it's Chargers, or Chargers didn't make it happen. But whether it's the Panthers, damn, this is rough. Cowboys, come on, Cowboys. This is the first time I'll be cheering for the Cowboys. Saints, one of these teams gotta beat the Buccaneers, if not all three. That would be lovely, but I doubt that happens because Baker has been dealing. Man, the boy has been dealing. Anyway, look, man, I'm gonna leave y'all with a positive note here. And a positive note I have for y'all is, it's a quote. And the quote is just early to bed, early to rise, makes a man that's young, wealthy, and wise. So let's lock in and let's get the job done, man. Let's go ahead. I'm gonna wrap up. That's all I got for y'all today. Appreciate you if you've been kicking it with me. Shoot me a voicemail, call 219-413-9405. Of course, we'll play it back on our next episode. Let me know what you think of some of the games that happened in week 15, some of the matchups you got your eye on coming in week 16, if your team's gonna make the playoffs, if my Falcons will win a division, anything in the news, anything, man. All of that's cool. But send this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, a friend, a spouse. I promise you, they will not mind. At worst, they just won't listen to it. At worst, who cares? Well, just send it to them, bro. Don't even be scared. Shoot it their way. I do appreciate anybody. If you actually do send it out, I for sure appreciate you, bro. Like, that's love, man. That's love. I appreciate that. Anyway, that's all I got, man. So look, we'll be back later on during the week. Later on the back end of the week. I know it's holidays coming up. Happy holidays to all of y'all. Much love, man. I'm wishing anyone whose ears is upon this much love and just peace, happiness, joy during the holidays. I love you. I'm out of here, man. Other than that, let's go. I've been talking too much. I'm not gonna keep doing that. All right, I'm out of here, y'all. We'll be back later on next week, and so on and so on and so on.